All right, all right. Hello, everyone. Lydia back with another episode. I am super pumped because I invited someone who I never met, but resonated hard with a video on the interwebs of him burning his degrees. And I thought, you know what? I've got to have this guy on my podcast. I asked, sure enough, he said yes. So I have Tommy John on the podcast today. He's a performance coach, perpetual student, a leading unapologetic voice across the globe in the medical freedom movement of today. Very important of these times. Yes. And he's a former professional athlete and published author with 3 degrees. Oops, we're not gonna say that.
Oh, burned them, baby.
He burned them.
I'm sorry. Nice.
So then you're not a scholar either, right?
Three charred degrees. Let's say that, like three ash degrees that are ashes.
They've returned to the earth. Teacher, patient, healer, private in general. He owns and operates his performance and healing center in San Diego. 20 years clinical experience, impacted countless lives. He's got a book called Way to Live, Utilizing the 8 Essentials to Performance and Healing. Ooh, I did not know that. I'll have to check that out. And at the core of his work, his patients relearn what it is to be truly sovereign and free within their bodies. Amen, amen. Mm-hmm. And, just learning how to become self-healers, regenerate, knowing that you hold the power within yourself to cure yourself from anything. I've told you guys my stories. We're going to hear his. And, we just need to be free. So he's at the heart of his work is body sovereignty. And he says, I stand for bodily freedom when it comes to health and medical intervention. Oh, one more thing. You're a founding member of the Health Freedom for Humanity, which I just learned about like last week. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to have you on because, a lot of my clients, I work with people one-on-one through nutritional therapy, through a couple of functional tests. So I'm kind of a mineral geek over here. And a lot of the people that come to me are complaining of all kinds of what I would describe as kind of like medical PTSD, if you will, because they've gone to countless doctors, and it's just been so frustrating. Yeah. And I think people are really waking up to this right now more than ever. I feel, and maybe you see that too. Yeah. And they just want to know what to do. And then I also work with practitioners because years ago, people saw me just talking incessantly about what I do. And like, can you tell us how you learned that? And I was like, well, I just did it. But sure, I don't really want to teach some technical thing, but okay. So I did. And a lot of them will just, feel very hesitant to put themselves out in the world because they feel like they don't have enough knowledge. Yeah. And so there becomes this like vicious hamster wheel of taking more courses and taking more training and getting more education before going and actually working with people. Yeah. And so I wanted to talk about that with you based on the video that you did like on a mountain or something, burning your pictures. So yeah, we have a lot to talk about. So why don't you tell people a little bit about your how you got to that place where you're burning your degrees?
Yeah, so I was told that education comes from the universities, and you go and you get these upper level educations, and the school will prepare you to be a practitioner, and you'll be smarter and wiser and more connected and able to help. And so I got 2 degrees from Furman University in health and exercise science while I played baseball. I want to make that clear. I went to college to play baseball. I fell backwards into a degree, 2 of them. And so I learned absolutely nothing there. And so the undergrad and master's was an absolute flipping joke. And I'm very clear about that. So that was about maybe $200,000 right there. Partial scholarship, but still. Then I played pro ball for a while. And then I really got into life. I was with a company called Synergy Fitness and Sports, and it was a gentleman, Vladimir Chirgus, and myself and John McNulty. And we pulled the curtain back on soft tissue injuries. So we just completely annihilated physical therapy and what that whole thing stands for, that whole allopathic model of physical therapy. Passive treatments, symptom reduction, label, imaging, all these things going that we were getting, all these people coming in, having gone into that world, expecting to come out better. And the world in there was doing the exact opposite. So now, having been trained and educated, and even as a professional athlete, I was like, wait, this is what I was told. This is even what was handed down from my dad, who was on the Yankees and the Dodgers. Like, this is what the biggest parts do. This is the only way. Well, now you start pulling back and you really start doing this. This was one of the biggest defining factors in my evolution as a practitioner, really just a human, a student of humanity, is I started to look at what wasn't working and I just flat out did the opposite. That was it. I didn't know anything. I was just like, okay, icing, limited range, taking all these things, passive treatments like laser scraping, butter knifing, tape, all this shit, nobody's getting better. Then how about we just do the exact opposite? And when we did that, all of a sudden, everybody was getting better. Only better than, you should be lucky if you're injured. Because if you're injured, that means it's showing you a leak. You're looking at like a leak that just happened. If you do it right, you can replace the whole piping system and totally level up. That had never been sent to me. That had never been like, I'd never seen that. And so we had everybody from MS to Parkinson's to paraplegics to pro athletes to developmentally challenged kids to you friggin' name it, across the board. We, as these, just what credentials did I have? I had degrees that meant nothing. We had certifications so that people could see them on the wall. Nothing. The exact opposite. The certifications were literally the exact opposite of what we were doing in the facility. And so that was my eye opener to what else is just bullshit out there. And so then my brother was in the psychiatric world. He got diagnosed with this label and I got to train a psychiatrist. So now I'm asking a psychiatrist who, if you look at how he treats people, you would think he's an absolute lunatic. He's not a lunatic. He's a very educated person. Again, I use that word. He's a very degreed professional doing what he was taught. So I'm like, okay, doc, my brother is under your care and it makes no sense to me. He's getting worse as you're going on in 4 years. I mean, he's attempts on his life, some really gnarly, scary stuff. Could I see where you learn? Could I see your information? Because I just want to know where you're getting this information from. So textbooks he'd give me, they're published by Pfizer. So now you gotta look at who's controlling these schools. And then it's like, that's the allopathic model. That's the PT, the orthopedic, the psychiatric, you friggin' name it. In that model, it's label, diagnose, treat symptoms, and cash out. And nobody's going to pay for it because it's all insurance. So that's it. Well, now I wanted to cut out the middlemen. We had this really natural approach to healing, putting people in positions to heal any soft tissue injury. And I mean radical stuff, like stuff that, and I'm going to get back to that because this is important. Like ligaments gone, able to, no surgery and able to play football, torn ligaments and ankles coming back. All these things from a soft tissue injury standpoint, people able to heal from these things that are supposedly impossible and be better than they were before. And age, sex, where they were, had nothing to do with it. So now I go to chiropractic school because I'm going to take out everybody and I'm going to put it all into my hands. And now I go to chiropractic school and I'm like a third of the way through and I'm like, what the hell is this? And again, maybe I do a little research. It just felt like it was something to do, but all we were trained as, the accrediting agencies controlled by the same governing agencies in the other schools, were allowing chiropractic school to exist if we, one, were really bad PTs, two, not chiropractors at all, treating symptoms of every kind, diagnose, label, imaging. I mean, the number of x-rays I saw of tumors that we're supposed to find, like, what the hell does this have to do with anything that we're doing? $210,000 later, you graduate with a doctorate that leaves you prepared to do absolutely nothing chiropractically, but you passed your boards, you have your license, you have your certification, you have everything there. An absolute travesty. But I was already through it. And I'm like, you know what? it doesn't matter. Let me get this because I'm going to change what this title is. That was because everyone's like, why'd you even continue? And I was literally a third of the way. And I was like $60,000 in. And I was like, no, let me just get this because there's something good I can do with it. But I got to see from the inside. And this is one of the best chiropractic schools in the nation. So now I create my practice and I'm doing what I'm doing. And now I've the more people coming in, the more educated they are, the more exposed to professionals they are, the worse they are. And I mean worse.
Yeah.
And everyone's got these labels. Everyone has these treatments. They have this scroll of all these professionals they've been to, all these treatments, all these products, all these MLMs, all these supplements, all these herbs, all this shit that people have attached to their label. And they come in and they don't want to lose it. And the first thing I need them to admit is that it hasn't worked because I didn't go get you from your house. You walked in with an issue. So now I start going in and I've got a naturopath who I put through the cheesecloth. So I put all these professionals through a cheesecloth, and people come to shadow my office and they second guess that because they're never the same when they leave. They always think I have some system or I'm going to, I have some algorithmic something. And then they come in and realize that every day is different. I don't even take notes. And I'll literally challenge them because I don't want them in practice because it's making my job harder. And the only reason they're really doing some of the stuff they're doing is because they're 200 grand in debt and they're trying to get out of it. And I'm just like, okay, but one, you haven't healed yourself. And that's one of the biggest keys is I know the extent of my medicine because I put myself through it. There's nothing I will give anybody in here that I haven't exhausted in myself to experience in myself. And that's why I won't get defensive or triggered if you're going to attack my approach, because I'm certain it's going to repeat itself. So with this naturopathic doctor, Dr. Cassie Huckabee, I asked her, she went to Bastyr in San Diego. It's a reputable, it's one of the best naturopathic schools in the nation, according to blah, blah, blah. I asked her, what's it like there? And she said, same thing, producing this labeling. It's the same formula the allopathic model is doing it under the guise of herbs, holistic, natural, healthy, all this stuff. And it is not at all. And so that's why I say all systems need to crumble, is because if you and I really started a true school where, we put people, these practitioners, and there'll only be a few because it's not everybody can be a practitioner. This whole, everyone's a healer of everybody. I'm sorry. We all need to be out of business. A majority of you just don't need to have income coming from what you're doing. I'm sorry. We'd be better off. But if we started a school and we truly got people in positions to do some really great stuff, the school would be shut down. It would totally, because the powers that be would not let it exist. There's no way. And we're seeing that now, I hope, in that, my Instagram's been deleted twice. Other information out there. They don't want you to know that you have this sovereignty, that you have this ability, that you don't need help from the outside. And when I say naturopathic and holistic, everybody flips their shit. And I'm like, the fact that you just freak out is exactly what I'm talking about. Now, if we eliminate both sides, there will be a transition period that'll be really scary for a while, but it's okay. It's what we're going through now. There will be this learning because everyone's like, I'm staying in business because I'm trying to teach people. Yeah, I get it, but you're still not enabling and putting the accountability and responsibility on somebody. And if you use any type of label or any type of passive anything that takes away something that they're supposed to be feeling, you are doing them a disservice in the long run. And this whole thing needs to go where we're going to have some people be like, damn, they're going to bottom out. They're going to struggle. They're going to, really reach this point of, oh my God. Like some of the pure all gotten to that point where we've either seen death, experienced death, or really felt where I'm literally on the verge of ending it all, or something has to change. You know what I mean? It's like some of the most, I hate saying woke, but some of the most aware people have bottomed out. Yeah. And some of the best medicine men and women have bottomed out and have brought themselves back to life with their medicine, and they've seen it, So that's the short of where I'm at 20 years in. And that's why I've just started to become a student again. Patients teach me all every day. They'll come in and it's something new every day. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'd never seen this before. And you will never learn this in the schools, because if they were truly schools to set you up to do good, the schools wouldn't exist.
I love that. And
there.
I feel like that's why I love what I do. And in my industry, they're like, oh, scale your business. The one-on-one is not going to make you enough money. You have to go to scale. And I'm like, I freaking love the one-on-one because I meet every person right where they're at. And I learned so much from
Lydia, is that what they taught you?
Well, this is what you hear.
Scale it out. Did they say? Yeah.
Yeah, this is what you hear.
That's
in
interesting.
the world. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So it's ridiculous. It's like all about like produce bigger, better, more money, go, go, go. And
yeah,
I'm just like, really? Okay. Everyone's sick of that. Even if they're not willing to admit it, they're sick of it and they're burning themselves out trying to achieve it and do it.
Totally.
And there's got to be some level of fakeness there in authenticity.
Right.
I just had a conversation with my neighbor who works for a pharma company. He's a scientist.
Oh, wow.
I know. He's so interesting. So we have really good conversations, but he finally asked me what I do for a living. And I said, oh, I help people learn about how to take care of themselves through a few functional tests. But basically I'm just helping them like figure out how to get back to how things were before, industry and pharma, no offense. And, and we just started talking about, and suddenly he starts telling me all his health problems. And I'm like, okay, all right, here's this. And then he's like, oh, but then this, and then I was on antibiotics and that's the only time I felt good. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, you've probably got some serious dysbiosis going on, and anyway, so we go on and on. He's like picking my brain, asking for advice, totally fascinated, totally like on board with everything I'm saying. And then I'm like, yeah, but like people have got to learn how to take care of themselves because we think, and this is partly the systemic thing, but it's partly our fault too as humans that we freaking think that our doctors are our God and they know more than we do and they're going to help us and fix everything and do everything. And so it's like the system isn't working, but now we've got this ill mindset that something outside of us is going to fix things for us and we got to come back.
Right.
And remember, and he's like, yeah, people are just lazy. And I was laughing and I was like, well, yeah, I mean that too, but we've got to stop. It's like, it's negligence, when the industries are all, promoting this nonsense where we're all believing. And he goes, you're right, but people can keep buying their medications because it benefits me. And I'm like, there it is. And I just, I thought, wow, this is,
oh no,
I know, isn't it sad?
Yeah.
But it's just,
that's interesting.
But it is so systemic, like this whole mindset of, profit and growing bigger. And I think it really hurts. It really hurts humans, like you just explained in such a great way. And I love that you, I love how you practice, because that's kind of how I do it. Because people will be like, how do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. I just figure it out as I go.
Yeah. And I tend to think, I want people whoever's listening, because a lot of people are like, well, shit, this is some scary stuff, but I want to spin. I want to not spin, because I'm not a big positive affirmations on Post-it notes all around me. Like I want reality to set in. The fact that we've survived this long, considering the powers that be, shows just our ability to adapt and be resilient. I mean, everyone's complaining trails and water and 5G and drugs and we're still kicking ass. Like we're still doing pretty well, so just look at us as like what we've come through and what we're doing. And then I did a post, it was right before I got deleted for the first time, but it was, everybody's like, oh, cancer rates are increasing, degenerative conditions are increasing, heart disease, childhood disorders, degenerative disorders are increasing. And I look at that because I don't think disease and sickness exist. I just think it's the healing response of the body. Warts, acne, eczema, tumor, a scab, it's all the same thing. It's just the body's ability to adapt. So you're never sick. It's always healing, but they bogarted and took that healing response and made it seem like something's wrong with you if you're healing. So when I look at that and it's like cancer is increasing, all those things, I'm like, no, the healing response of the body is increasing and it's more extreme to get our attention. Shit, wait, we're healing so much that since we're never diseased, we've just put ourselves in these positions to live these lives that all of a sudden the bodies are just like, yo, stop. You have to do something different. And I don't care if it's a tumor or autoimmune disease, which doesn't exist. Your body doesn't fight itself. It's not flawed. Nature never makes mistakes, ever. It's always dialed in. So if we start looking at it that way, what an opportunity. What an opportunity right now with what we're going through to see this, because at any given moment, you can always change. Yeah. If you're still here, if you're still in your body and your spirit's deciding to stay, at any time, you can change. And that's the heart. I had a girl in tears the other day, and it was, again, I look at ankles, and I have Dr. Cassie Huckabee, who's doing clinically all these things that are supposedly incurable. She's got people doing these things on their own. Yeah. Well, I'm looking at an ankle. The process that goes on in an ankle is the same process that'll go on endocrine wise or on the skin. It's the same thing. It's just a big stream of adaptation. Yeah. So when I see that and I speak to a girl who's coming with ankle stuff, and she's been told, you can't do this. You need another surgery. Get used to this life that's not going to be productive. And she's young as hell. And I'm like, no, none of that is real. The fact that you even feel it right now and that it's limited, that's a healing response. The fact that a bone spur grew is the body trying to design to hold itself there and protect it. Oh my God, there's so much intelligence in everything that's going on. And she started bawling. It was like, nobody's ever said that to me before. I'm like, nor will they. But that's how we can come back. Cassie will do the same thing with her patients there. They've never heard that story. And she'll say that we got to change our story. It's the stories we tell each other. That's what we have to change. And as soon as you accept that, the path is just, there's no ship still on the shore. You can't do this. And this is why I'm real harsh when it comes to, well, I'll try holistic, natural, whatever the hell that means. But if it doesn't work, I'm going to come back. You can't, because knowing that it might not work means you have faith in nothing, and you can't. That's what we've done. And it's those both sides people that need to be just gone. Allopathic and all that, they know they're doing exactly what they were trained to do. They're not trying to be somebody else. They're just that. It's the in-betweens. Well, natural, but I mean, come on. This is like stronger than natural. No, you don't get to play this game. You can't play both sides of that fence. It is everything to be a human being in one stream that way. The fact that we've been told there's options, no, there's no options. Healing is human, period. There's no holistic natural healing. There's just healing. They've taken it and split it into two things, like organic and GMO, holistic and naturopathic and allopathic, Waldorf and Montessori and Common Core. Like, what are you talking about? There's just human. That's all it is. And so that's what we want to get back to. But if people heard that, now they start to look at, man, I feel like shit. No, like your body is totally getting your attention. It's trying to alert you that something needs to change, and the area that it needs, and maybe you need help minimally to then be exited to never talk to your practitioner again, because why the hell? It's literally a doctor is like somebody or just to get you in the position to not ever need them, ever. And now they go allopathic. Like, well, what about, this was another post I did before my second account got deleted. There's no pharmaceutical anybody needs ever to survive. There's none. What about type 1? Nope. What about epilepsy? No. The ones who are true medicine men and women are doing it. They're like, absolutely not. There's no drug you need. Okay, leg gets cut off in a car accident. There'd be a time where they have to learn trauma care. But Alex Zeck is the head of our Health Free and Free Humanity. He's the CEO. They learned how to treat bullet wounds and stab wounds and shit in 8 weeks in the field in the desert. He's military. He's not a doctor. So this whole allopathic needs an antibiotic. No. Infections. No. There's everything already existed well before this model ever got here. And so if we get back, I don't even want to get them credit for that. Like even trauma care. Cause I used to say that. Well, they're good for accidents and really gnarly stuff. No, we're out. They're done. That whole thing needs to crumble. And then there'll be a time where the true medicine one, women and men will go through like community setup, which is where I think it's headed. Like, what if, a lion attack or a falling off a cliff, and I mean some really crazy stuff. No, that person is fully equipped to be able to put them in a position to trauma care. And then also, sometimes we pass on, right? Not dead doesn't mean healthy. and so literally, since none of us are here, I mean, our spirits are going to be permanent, but it's just to live this full life. And then when the time comes, do everything possible to be able to transition comfortably to the next level, not isolated in a vegetable state on 10 machines that are 500 grand in debt that are, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I
have a big issue with that. Yeah. This is so,
yeah.
Yeah. Like, I love it because I'm like, you know what? I've been questioning even some things about the trauma. Like, I've been like, I kind of want to like learn if I was in the woods, what would I do if like we fell? And what would I do? I thought to myself,
right.
I'm going to go look it up and kind of figure out, like, at least start to figure out like, what would I do? And, or like if a snake bit me, what would I do? Or if like,
exactly.
Exactly. So I've started thinking like that. Like, I kind of want to know this crazy shit, but I feel you. It's a very bold statement. I think a lot of people will have a hard time hearing that for sure.
Yes. Yes.
But if you really think about the implications of what you're saying, it's so liberating.
Right.
I mean, we've been so suppressed by the medical system in a myriad of ways. Like, I'm watching, maybe I'll try to just keep it personal, like private. I'm watching someone who's basically alive but dying.
Yeah.
Just until they actually die. And I'm thinking to myself, this isn't, why are we doing this to so many people? Like keeping them alive just until they pass on their own. Like, that's not living. That's not freedom. That's really harsh. And I just think a lot of people are trying to extend being alive but not truly living. And I think what you're really saying has so much freedom behind it. And you got to be ready to be free though, right?
That's the thing. I'm excited about that. Like, when I speak about this, I get really excited and I feel good.
Yeah.
And if somebody doesn't, there's a lot going on there that we need to address, or you need to address in yourself if what I'm saying isn't empowering you or isn't exciting you, and I'll get a lot of DMs and we have these beautiful conversations, and there's so many people that they just never even heard this story before. And now this story is getting deleted, right? This story is getting censored. This story is getting, so it seems to me that this story is the one to be told. Yeah. The fact that I'm trying to put power back in a human being to be a human being again, and that's somehow a threat. So, okay, I'm going to keep going on it because it just feels right. And that's literally the earth that I can envision. I don't see one where they want to head. I can't even fathom living that way, because I just wouldn't. I would live to die on this hill of fighting for, if we lose health and medical freedom, it's over. There's nothing left. And they know that, the powers that be know that your health is number one. And so, threaten it, you'll do anything to kind of protect it, so to speak, in virtue signaling and everything else. But that's another thing. So I'm limited. I'm super, soft tissue oriented, but with the principles I'm learning, I'll seek out those in practice. And then I ask those questions, and they're proving clinically exactly what I'm feeling like. And they're repeating it. It's not luck. It's just, no, we repeat it. And then what's their marketing? Back to what you were saying, it's just taking that first person, getting them to heal, and you're gone. Like, your marketing is your medicine. Your marketing is you. You're like embodying your philosophy. Why do you have to cleverly market something that's just, if you do, then is it something that we need? Right. Like, I don't know.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I feel like the whole marketing thing has been a big thorn in my side. Like, I'm like, I don't want to market. I just want to talk and share and help people.
Right.
And I share stories. I don't want to market.
Beautiful.
I think marketing is what's fucked us up so much. Like
Right.
it's just, it's messaging that's so persuasive. It's manipulating often, right? I want to go back to what you said at one point.
Yeah.
You're talking about everything is healing. The body just adapts. You know, I've spent a lot of time in the woods, and I swear if I hadn't gone through what I went through, I would have not returned to the woods the way that I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I believe brought me back.
That's awesome.
And I observed nature change constantly. And I always just thought it's so cool how these trees like bend and they do all this crazy stuff to adapt to all the changes. Like a flood came through, a rushing water. Well, everything changed. And what could stay figured out how to stay, you know, and some of it was swept away. But like, I always just observed that and just marveled and just thought, this is such a powerful message to even us, but we don't see it. We miss it because we don't even stop and smell the flowers. We don't even stop and look at the birds. We don't even stop and, you know, we don't even know what the birds' names are.
Right.
And so I just thought people just are so disconnected from the observation of this that I think we've lost since the whole medical system got put into place, if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
And so that kind of leads me to think like helping people remember, and if you haven't studied history and you don't know these things, you can still learn them, right? So you said you have a book. What was it called again?
So my book is called Minimize Injury, Maximize Performance, but it utilizes these things I call the 8 essentials, which we can talk about.
Yeah, because there's some
it was marketed towards it was marketed towards the youth athlete and the sports parent, because in 2018 there was an epidemic in addition to all the other epidemics that we have with just declining function and capacity in the human being, especially in America. But there were injuries, there were sports injuries that were, 9-year-old ACL tears at catastrophic numbers. The Tommy John surgery, which is the surgery named after my dad, was happening in teenagers more than professionals. There were stress fractures in spines, concussions in girls soccer taking over football. Like, we were falling apart. What's up, Rick? And so the book was a solution to that. Well, the solution to that is the same solution I tell people now. It was just marketed because my name is Tommy John. My dad is the OG. It just made sense. So I'm trying to suggest it's a life survival guide instead of a sports parent, because there's people getting it who are like 50, 60, 70 years old. They're like, I'm like, skip the first 3 chapters and just get into the guts, the 4-part plan. And there's 9 recipes in there. There's tests that I would do in here to find the neurological, physical holes where you can just go ahead and heal yourself. There's 3 programs in there. You don't need me. One woman wanted to do a Zoom. I'm like, you don't have to. Like, get the book and just do it. It's the same thing I'll give you. Well, I think that it's $4. Go into on Amazon or whatever. Like, it's in your hands. I want you to pull it apart. And recovery methods and everything else, which is just really my life story, but just taking in those principles of healing. And it doesn't heal differently than an adult, than an animal. We just heal. Like, this whole segregation, splitting of everything, just stop. You're just healing. You're just this life form healing and adapting. That's its only job, is to adapt and survive its environment. Done. Period. And the 8 essentials are things that I took from, people like Dispenza and Bruce Lipton and other 90-plus-year-olds that I talked to are living these vibrant lives, medication-free and not dependent on anybody. And they always speak about these 8 things because the word essential oils always made me laugh, especially with the MLM component to it. And I was like, how essential are these oils? Because the way they talk, there's no friggin' way humanity could exist without essential oils.
Right.
Now, I use them, but how essential are they?
Right.
So I'm like, let me just wait right there. So then I started to think, what's essential to human? Because we were getting everything very complicated and everyone was coming in with more and more new stuff. And I'm like, we got to get simple. Rick, go ahead and start and then I'll check you after this. We got to get simple with everything So what is like truly, and I just came up with this, none of them are original. I didn't invent anything, right? But you got to list them linearly, write a paragraph of what they mean to you, sit with them for a while, and then split each 8 into 2 columns, medicine and toxic. And then you take an inventory, and you got to be honest and vulnerable with yourself. You don't compare them to anybody else's list. It's your private list.
Yeah.
And it changes, right? So the first one, a belief in something greater than yourself. Second, purpose. Third, relationships. 4, sleep naps. 5, breath meditation prayer. 6, outdoor exposure. 7, nourishment. 8, movement. No one more is more important than the other. They're just like all wrapped up on each other, and they all affect each other. So if you go in like, what does a belief in something greater than yourself mean to you? I know what it means to me, but that doesn't mean it means the same to you, nor should it. You go in and who you are right now, what does that mean? And then you look at the things you do in the day. What is medicine to that column, and what is toxic to that column? And be honest. And then after you're done with this huge document, this living document, you start to do the daily work on your own to just start to pull the toxics over to the medicine, or take the toxics out and celebrate little things. You made a meal for the first time in 3 years. Celebrate, but it was homemade cookies. Celebrate that shit. It's okay. These things are okay. We need to celebrate this little stuff. And this is sustainable. This is a list that you'll take till your last breath. This is something that's very intimate, private, and free. This is something that literally the biggest people, the biggest healing stories involve these 8. And the one factor that loops them all together is this whole thing, because everybody does this check the box bullshit. They take the 8 essentials and they follow through. I did this for my spirituality. I did this for my purpose. Right. I did this. Right. Yeah. And how's that working out? And it doesn't. It's like the recipe to success or recipe to healing. There isn't a recipe at all. That's why the labels and algorithms and this whole systematic thing needs to stop. But you need to try to loop it through all together with this one thing. When you talk to Dr. Cassie, all her like incurables that are reversed, you talk to all those people, you listen to Dispenza talk, you listen to all these, the Heal documentary, the people that healed wanted to. Yeah. Done. That's it. They didn't need your coaxing. They didn't need my solution. They didn't need my pitch. They wanted to. They were done. There was nothing that was going to stand in their way from getting them to the end of point B. That's it. That's all they wanted to do. Yep. Now, where do we go? Point. There's your 8. Somebody who wants to with those 8, game over. It's out. They're done. They got it to the house with that. And then all of a sudden it's that intention, that desire that loops it all through. Because everyone will look at me and be like,
oh, you dropped
your
out.
life must be exhausting. Say that. And I'm like, but I don't have choices. I know we say we have choices, but when your picture is so clear, there's only one way. I don't make a choice to move my body. I don't make a choice to go connect with nature and the power and the forces there. I don't make a choice to nourish myself. It's just one direction. It's so easy because I know what I want. I know what my reasoning is. So there's no like, well, if I do this, then maybe. No, if you're there, then you have no idea what the whole end game is anyway. So is it exhausting? No, because it's always coming out of love. Like everything I'm doing is straight up purely because I love this body. I love what it can do. I love what it hasn't done yet. I love where it's going to take me, the people I'm going to meet, the things I'm going to do. Like I'm so fucking in love with this life that I am literally willing to do everything possible to love and nourish it, because its only thing is out of love. Mm-hmm. And we poison it. We talk bad to it. We think badly, we pierce it, we cut it, we do all these things that are out of punishment and guilt and shame, and it still comes back loving us. It still comes back to keep our existence here. That gives me goosebumps. That gets me excited about the things that I get to do. So anyway, the book is like an offset of that, but it just ties all that in. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yes. Woo. Yeah. That is like probably that little rant was the best, I think, because I feel like because I feel it, because like that describes like how I've gotten here. And you try to tell people who aren't ready for that, they just look at you with that deer in headlight look, and you're like, okay, come back later, or whatever.
Right.
But for the people who are feeling that, amazing. I'm so excited to see what more the stories that come out of, people who decided one day, you know what, here I go.
I looked down because I did a video before I got deleted again, as I said the second time, and I'm going to keep saying that because I need people to understand that the censorship is really scary. It should scare a lot of people. But if you can look down and you see a scab, would we call that scab a cancer? Would we call that scab autoimmune? Oh, it's healing? Got it. Did you have anything to do with that scab? No. Was it a nuisance? It's ugly. It hurts. It's itchy. It looks gross. It's like, okay. But it's the same process on every level and every cell and every tissue and every system. And so the proof is there. If you can look down, or a pimple, your body is pulling shit out of your body and like pushing it out. Yep. That's proof. Yeah. Right there that you can heal. That's it. You're never sick. If we don't call a scab sick, then you're not sick. Stop. Because it doesn't choose which tissues it's going to. No, it chooses what it picks for your immediate survival. But there's no like off. It's always on as long as you're here. It's always adapting and always healing. But we got people that will literally, Dr. Cassie, man, came through with it again. She goes, you'll literally have people that will cut you open, burn out this tissue, cut out this thing they call a tumor, which is sickness, because God forbid that be there. And then all of a sudden they'll suture you up. They'll say and give credit to the body's ability to heal the suture and the cut, but they won't say shit about what's going on underneath.
Right.
How is that possible? That they'll literally give credit to the surgeon-induced cut. The surgeon did it, cut you, and your body healed. But the things going on underneath, a tumor's not healing. Yeah. Autoimmune's not healing. MS, ALS, you name the thing, whatever they name it, doesn't matter. The name means absolutely nothing. It's just healing. So that's why there is no sickness, there is no disease. It's just the body healing. Now they call growth disease. Oh, Sievers and non-good slaughter. Oh, you mean growth? Yeah, now it's the disease. Now there's like 14 different DSM diagnostic statistical manual for mental disorders. It's like the 6th fucking edition. And menstrual, the period time for women, there's like 16 different things that you guys, to just make it seem like this evil moment in your lives when it's this really beautiful time that other cultures respect and revere and will give you guys gifts and rest and calm. And the whole hijacking of just the healing natural response of the body is something that is attacking you, flawed, genetically predisposed bullshit. All these things coded for that whole thing just has to stop. And that's where you can't get me triggered. Make fun of my book, you ain't gonna get me. Make fun of my dad, you ain't gonna get me. Make fun of, my clothes, my music taste, you ain't gonna get me. Make fun of my patience, my ability to heal, and I'll get like, wait, what did you just say? When somebody's like, oh, that'll never, like, hold on. If there's like a disgrace to the human's capacity to adapt and regenerate anything, that's when I step up. And so that's why I feel like I'm here as like a ambassador to that power.
Like a warrior. Yeah. Yeah. Need that. Oh my God. So you said so many things I could have like 15 conversations about. I don't know the last time I've been to a doctor, don't plan on it. And I don't plan on finding out if I have cancer. I mean, I just don't. And people
just
look at me like, what? I'm like, I don't want to know, because I feel like cancer is just a protection.
Body healing, detoxing. Think about this. So think of that, because there's people that'll do these screenings, right? And they're like, what do you think about screenings? I'm like, let me just put it into terms that only I know, because I'm not involved in some of the deep dive. Hold on 1 second. 100 front, 100 side, 100 bent over side. Okay, both arms. Mammogram. Let's take that one. So that seems to be you hit this age, or your family's got, like, okay. They're looking at one area of the body. The procedure itself has been to cause like that, because it's just the name. But the procedure itself, the squeezing of the tissue and the irritation of the tissue and the radiation. Okay, so, but one area of the body, that'd be like me And then based on the results that they created, what they're finding based on their story that they're telling you, saying that this is not healthy tissue, according to who? You, which is coming from what system? Who says all this? So think about this. If I looked at ankles and somebody came in and I was like, yeah, I did a test, I did a screening on your ankle, it's dysfunctional. Let's go ahead and cut off your ankles. And I promise you, if you don't have ankles, you will not have foot problems.
Right.
It's the same shit, right? Like literally, oh, wait, so I don't have feet? Like, what a brilliant fucking idea that this model can go ahead and urge women to cut their breast tissue off based on a thing that they identified. It would literally be me opting out. Hey, can we just cut off some ankles this week? Like, I mean, it looks suspect. I can't say you're not going to have knee, hip, and confidence issues afterwards, but you don't have ankle problems and foot problems. Do you know what I mean? So there's just that concept where it's just the body isn't this brilliant, amazing piece of beautiful quantum, energy and light, and that we could even reduce it down to an area or a data point.
Right.
And I mocked science the other day, and Judy Mikovits followed my talk, and it was one of the worst followings because she's scientist. And I just said, science needs to be done. You can't reduce the human being to a data point. They're always changing. That's why I don't take notes. Them on Tuesday is not who they are on Thursday. So I don't give two shits who you were Tuesday. I care about who you were today. And that's why the human being will never be reduced down to a body part or a data point. So science and the body, let's science up. Let's science to curiosity, not reduce down. When did the powerful study the powerless? But that's what we got in medicine, right? We got these people studying disease and pathology. What is that? You mean healing? How about you study the ability of recognizing that, utilizing that, and going up? But they can't let that happen because that's billions of dollars and power, and why we're being censored and deleted off Instagram. So here we are.
Yeah, you brought up another hot topic about science.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my big beefs over the years too, is like,
yeah,
wait a minute, before the science even arrived, someone had to be in the arena figuring this shit out.
Right.
And then science refutes science, and it's like, how could we possibly, it just keeps changing.
Yeah. And now, I mean, being bought and paid for and agendas and everything else. And somebody's like, do you do science? Like, I'm running observation. I have theories and I have, because nobody knows anything. If we all admit it, nobody knows shit. I mean, truly no. So I run observation, throw treatment, some sort of stimulus variable, observe posts, and make changes. So yeah, I'm running a scientific operation here for 21 years. No conclusions yet. The conclusion is the body is magnificent and there's no repeat system that'll ever work the same in one person that it doesn't in another. So I'm going to keep going with that, Yeah,
I love that. And the other thing that I think is really hard is from a patient perspective, so many people feel like they have to have the diagnosis so that they then, once they have the diagnosis, they know what they're dealing with, and then they can know what to do. But that's what really leads you to running to all these different practitioners and doing all these things and getting burned out and exhausted and frustrated and putting your trust outside of yourself. And this is the story I get all the time, from people who are like, I just want to know. And I'm like, oh gosh, I feel for you. Cause it's like, I mean, there was a point in my life where I was like, do I have cancer? Do I have this? Do I have that? I lived in paranoia and fear. Yeah. And I was miserable. Yeah. And until I forgot about all that stuff. Right. Just said, forget it. I'm just going to go live. And the times when I just lived, my body was like, cool, let's do this, And so I feel like that's a big thing that we need to address to help people be free from this constant need to get a label. Yep. And that's the scary part. And that's why I won't, because
I mean, the first thing they have to do is then drop the label, because now they have an identity and they will go into that. And it's like, one, acknowledging what is going on. Now, I'm not telling people to ignore like what the body's talking, you know, like that's not what we're saying. Like just go, because everyone's like, oh, go to the wild and rub dirt on it, TJ. I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. I mean, if that was medicine, sure. Possible clay, something, you know, like maybe. No, but your body is the screening. Everyone's like, do you do screenings? Every day. I take a shower. I listen to myself. I nourish myself. I'm constantly feeling what's going on. It's a screening. And when it's off, it'll let me know, or my skin will change, or my breath will change, or I'll notice shifts in my, and that's what we got to get back to. I have a screening every single day. Everyone's like, oh, I bet you never get injured. I get injured all the time. I damage tissue all the time, living this really, really radical life that I love doing. I love jumping off rocks and going for these long walks and doing these things that I love. And sometimes body goes, we weren't ready for the environment you just put us in. You just damaged some tissue. I'm going to signal a pain response. There's going to be inflammation and swelling and pain, and you're going to get into this pattern, and I'm just going to get your attention. And so something happened in my foot, and it was gnarly. It was bad. Like it was bad. And I was like, wow, okay, what did I do? Doesn't matter what I did. Jumping off rocks. I don't know what I did, but something was not right. Did you get an MRI? I don't look at yearbooks to wonder how somebody's functioning or feeling that day. I don't look at faces. And you look at a picture, it tells you absolutely jack shit. So no. Well, what'd you do? It doesn't matter. All that was happened was the environment demanded something from me. I wasn't able to survive it. Body let me know there is tissue damage. Well, is it bone? Is it ligament? It doesn't matter. The body heals it. Me knowing has nothing to do with what I'm about to go through. There is no ligament protocol. There is no bone protocol. How would I know what to do? Your body does. It's the same thing every single time, whether it's acne, psoriasis, cancer, whatever they want to call it. It's the same fucking thing. You put your body into a position to heal. Done. That's it. That's all it is. Every single time. That's it. So now it's like, well, here's the kicker though. Here's the tough part. So I had something that I loved doing, walking, but I couldn't do it. So now I had the option now, because we have technological advances and we have these things, and but I love walking and sunsets and exploration. Damn it. I could have padded my foot with this fancy orthopedic shoe, or I could have taken a bunch of stuff or dumped a bunch of essential oils on my foot to hide the pain and reduce the swelling based on trees and all this bullshit. I could have taken all this supplements. I could have done all these. No, so that I could keep doing something in the environment that was just telling me that I wasn't ready to stay in that environment.
Take a break. Yeah.
So it was the sacrifice, and everything has to be this sacrifice. It's okay. So I said, okay. I went in, listened to my body. Thank you, first of all, for letting me know, like super grateful, letting me know this is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to test it. So I went into exactly what I'd give people coming through my office. I treated myself with my medicine that nobody's going to attack because it works. So I get into the medicine and I go through it, and I'm having feedback. And now I got to go harder than I normally do, because I was just alerted that I wasn't ready for the environment. So I have to do more than what I was previously doing. And that's what people don't. They're like, well, you got to do less when you get sick or injured. I don't know what sick is. Injured is just tissue, just letting you know it wasn't ready. So no, we got to do more. Or I change the environment and never exist in that environment again. But I want to walk. I want to live high. And I don't want to change that yet. You know what I mean? So there's two choices: change your environment or level up. And so for 2 months, no change. So think about this. I'm pouring my intention, pouring everything into this 3 times a day. I'm sacrificing these walks. I couldn't walk across the street to go see sunset. I could march kind of like a baby, but damn, man. So there was depression. There was psychological stuff. I was like, oh, but I had faith, because I know that there's only one stream moving forward. It's healing. It's all it does. It's all it knows to do. It's not if it's, or if you're, no, it'll just heal. It's only knows to heal. That's it. So now all of a sudden at the 3-month mark, which is what I tell people all the time, but I didn't listen to that part that I tell people, it's 1 to 3 months minimum for everything, for every insult that you are aware, 1 to 3 months. And then sure as shit, the 3-month mark came and I was able to toe off the ground and walk across the street. And I could watch the sunset for the first time. Do you know how amazing that sunset was? I'd fallen back in love with sunsets, right? And I already love them. So now I came back across and I celebrated that. I'm like, damn. Oh, hell yes. I mean, my body, my life, my system just totally elevated because I found a leak in my ways. Body just let me know we couldn't exist this way. Now, here's the thing. I keep going because you're not done. You keep going, right? It's not like you eat a bunch of apples on Sunday and you're good. Like we keep going, right? So now all of a sudden I have to test it. And I was able to do walks, and now I did 29 miles on the coast or beach walks. But now I found a flaw, I found a hole, I found a leak, I found a way for me to improve myself. I listened, I went through my screening, I did my diagnostic test. What was it? Adaptation, period. That's all we have to say. And then I did my medicine. What was your medicine? 8 essentials on acid, like just literally just ramped up, but so disciplined. And the hard part is that variable where we don't want to cut out the things that we enjoy. And that's the tough part, because there's no way to stay in the environment that created the problem, try to heal. Like we got to change that, And so that's, in my opinion, one of the toughest things for people is to cut away those things that they love. But here's the thing, just for a short period of time. And then you're going to be able to go back into that environment and love it more than you ever have, than you've ever imagined possible at 80 or at 12 or it doesn't matter. You're literally, you haven't reached levels that you can even comprehend. We've got so many levels that we've just untapped.
I know.
And so that goes with my, everyone's like, oh, I bet you never get injured. I bet you're trying to live forever. That's not the point. The point is to experience this, sense my reality in every way, shape, form, and go out self-sovereign and autonomous and experiencing everything that this life has gifted me, for sure.
Yeah, totally. You just nailed it. And like, that's what people will always say is like, well, can you tell me how long this is going to take? I'm like, oh yeah.
Right.
They keep wanting to know, well, how much longer? And I'm like, yeah, wow, this is gonna be hard for you. This is gonna be really hard for you.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So here's the thing. So technically, from when it happened, for those people who are kind of thinking that right now, I never stopped. So how long is this gonna take? I'm still going, because I'm still off that one thing. Like I'm constantly, you never stop. That's the thing. We do these big unsustainable gestures. It's just like, this is forever. I tried holistic and natural. It didn't work. No, there's no try anything. You just live. There's no like, well, when's this? It's just keep going. And I know like observation of symptoms in that conversation, I get it, but it's never stopping. And when that dies down, then we really do the work. And then when that dies down, we really go and we really ramp it up to this new level. Yeah. And I've had some people not keep up because I said the new level you're going to function at is going to require a new level of discomfort to change you. And some are like, I just don't want to do it. But I said, you know what? That's actually awesome, because you're not in denial. You're being honest with yourself. And that's actually a healthier approach than the people who are expecting these huge, leaps and bounds expectations with very little input or payment in, interest payment in of investment on themselves,
Yeah. And that's like the people skeptical at the beginning who are like, well, I don't know if I want to do this, if it's not going to produce a result in X amount of time, if it's even going to be worth it to me. Yeah. It's just all this. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and that's hard because then they can't start, right? It's okay. It's not ready yet. And I've had people, I planted seeds and 2 years later, like, hey, can I start up? I'm like, let's go. You're ready. Yep. But that's why some people are like, can I get my husband in? Does your husband even want to come in? Exactly. Because if they don't want to come in, it's not going to work, and I'm not scraping by for business I don't want that kind of energy in here. You have to like want to heal, as I said. Yeah. I don't want you to bring your partner on board if they don't want to do it. And you shouldn't either. It's going to suck for both of you. Yeah, no. And it's okay. Yeah. They're not bad people, right? It's just not ready yet. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Love it.
You're speaking my language.
Love it.
So I want to honor your time. I know you have to move on, but I just want you to know I have 4 sons.
Oh, wow.
Almost 14, almost 16, 18, and 22.
Nice.
And what would you say to the young men right now in this time?
Oh gosh. Stand up for the ladies, gentlemen. Man, I've been branded with this. You're what did they call me? Oh shit, masculine, sacred masculine or something. And I'm like,
toxic masculine.
What? I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I'm just being the best version of me. And then it's coming out as this like, oh, it's sacred masculine. No, like everybody's got, skill sets, but men are really falling. They're really just slacked off. They're not standing up for the women, pointing in the directions. There's a bunch of mama bears fighting for what's at stake here, and the men are hiding masked. And literally, a woman was attacked in a grocery store by a man. A man was coming at her. She was by herself. Her husband was at home. Her sons were at home. Nobody stepped up. Nobody stepped in to just. So, gentlemen, bring it back. Like support, protect. Children of the earth, women of the earth, like that's what our role is. And it's one of those things, it doesn't have to be from anger. It's not angry and pointing fingers wanting to fight everybody. It's just trying to stand within what your ground is. Get back to the old school stuff, holding doors, pulling out chairs, carrying, somebody across the puddle, give a hand, the little things like that. And you can practice on your mom, and then get out. But that's what I think has it's what society has done to men and what society has done to women to get them to just be beat fucking dogs, and then the women being, but it's just one of those things of bringing back that traditional, the roles that we have, because we both have things that the others can't do, and it's amazing when we're together. It's divine feminines in both, sacred masculines in both, like whatever those are. I can't grow a human being, but I need to help for that to happen, and then together we can move. A friend of mine said, women point, men lead, women follow, and that's it. So if guys point out that if women point the direction, you listen, because there's an intuitive thing that mothers and women have that we have a real hard time with. So I've had friends who are females be like, you're like a doer. I'm like, what do you mean? Because they'll be like, you know what you should do? And they'll suggest something and I'm on it. And they're like, why? I'm like, well, because you're a woman and you just told me. And and they're like, God damn. They're like, this is amazing. I'm like, but seriously, you guys are tapped into this intuitive nature that you just know and connect. And so it's just getting back to respecting and honoring the gifts that we both bring. But to stand by the women who I think are leading the charge, these mama bears that know what's at stake for the children of the earth, and are speaking out and standing out and getting the citations and getting yelled at and getting blasted and censored. Stand next to them, protect them, fight right alongside with them. So that's I don't know if that helped you.
Yeah, I think at least one of my kids will listen to this, maybe 2.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, this was great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Just so happy to have found you and saw that video at the right time, because it just, yes, we need more of this. And I'm sure it's going to trigger people, but I hope that people just let it sit and do its thing and listen to what comes out from that message.
For sure.
So where should I tell people to find you?
Yeah. So healthfreedomforhumanity.org is our nonprofit we started. Alex Zek, Ali Zek, and myself.
Okay.
We all got deleted off Instagram. The hashtag Health Freedom for Humanity is blocked on Instagram. So that should just tell you something there. We had a slam piece done on us by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation through the Bureau of Investigative Journalism or something. They slammed us, and That's the thing with this whole thing.
That's
If you
amazing.
you can have half a brain and see what's going on for real, and
Right.
it's just everyone's. So no personal branding, whatever. Just go to that healthfreedomforhumanity.org. We're grassroots. We've got a lot of plans. We got a lot of good people in the group, and we're pulling in more people. And the more and more we get censored, and the tougher and tougher it is to get this information out there, just the more we know we're dialed in. So that's where you define me and all my stuff.
Yeah, and I did check that website out. You got some great interviews over there. Like, you guys, if you want to go nerd out and skip watching Netflix, just get on there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Binging. I noticed that people could maybe be a representative in their state.
Yes. So that is something new. And again, we're trying to do more, and we're trying to get help. But Jody Metchick, who wrote Reimagining Autism, she reversed autism in her son if he was injured after a vaccine. And she took the reins on that one and put out a post. Anybody in different states, we gathered information. We had like 48 states, 450 people, like countries around the world. So the people that are wanting, we're trying to just gather and try to connect, and then the more we can connect with people in different states, then those networks start going, and the schools start popping up, and they start shopping at different places together, and they start, you know what I mean?
I like it.
And there's those movements where people aren't going to take this shit anymore and know what's at stake here, and aren't just going to stand in line like cattle, getting the shot and move forward. And with what's coming on next, I mean, more to come. All we can do is just keep connecting and keep trying to put ourselves in the best position possible to be as resilient and adaptive. And that's all we can do. And then it makes those decisions not easy, but very clear with what we're supposed to do, where we're supposed to be. So a lot of good. Then every single one of us in this group had mentioned on the previous call it's a hill we'll die on. And so we know it's at stake. When health and medical freedom are being taken, there's nothing after that. And so we're literally giving up, credentials, licensing, some people putting families' safety on the line, practices, their reputation. We have nothing to gain. Right. Like, we're not monetarily gaining from this shit, so, and the fact that we've been deleted multiple times to show that our message is exactly what you need to hear.
Yeah.
So, boom.
I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings. Have you seen it?
I tried. I have not. I've tried.
You tried. Okay. So
I know.
So
it looks amazing, and I've tried. I just got to get in the mindset to go, because when I go, I'm going to go. You know what I mean? I know.
Well, it just reminds me of that in a way, like, this collaboration coming together to basically, So maybe you'll watch.
I'll check it, and I'll. Yeah.
We're hardcore fans over here. My boys and I, we watch it every year. So a lot of really potent, like, little pieces of it that are so apropos for right now.
Sure. That's awesome.
Anyway, you just made me think of it. All right. Well, everyone check out Health Freedom for Humanity. I'll make sure I link it in the show notes. I'm excited you're putting together communities. Thank you. That's what
Alec, they're amazing people in this group for sure.
Yeah. So follow them all on Instagram and check out their stuff. Alex Zek,
Alex Zek, Dr. Sarah Carnes, Dr. Seth Gerlach, Dr. Ben Tapper, a bunch of us. There's a bunch of the people that are poisoning your minds with freedom and sovereignty.
People.
Seriously.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Of course.
Just amazing, and it's good to connect. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely.
All right.
Take
care.
See ya.